This is the final part of 2B part 1, and what we're going to look at now are the form controls. So we've done these drop down boxes using validation rules, but for conviction points and number of drivers we need to use form controls, because conviction points has to be a list box and number of drivers has to be option buttons. There's also actually an advantage of using a list box here, which we'll see later. Well, first of all, in order to use form controls we need a developer ribbon, and Excel doesn't normally come with the developer ribbon enabled, so all we need to do is right hand click on the ribbons and select customize the ribbon, and we can then get the developer ribbon, and this will be important for later as well, because it will also give us access to macros. But what this now means that we can do is create boxes and option buttons as well. But for our conviction points we need to be able to select from this list box of 0, 1 to 3 or 4 to 6. So what we're going to do is we're just going to start by creating a list that we can use. So I'm going to have here, these will be our conviction points, so I'm just going to put here points, and we'll put the options 0, 1 to 3 and 4 to 6. Now those come up for dates, so we should just be able to format those and turn them into text. There we go, click on OK, and we'll put them back in again. So 1 to 3 and 4 to 6. And I'm going to name this range points so that we can use that named range as the source of our drop down box. We're also going to need to link, so it won't be a drop down box, it'll be a list box. We're also going to need to link the result of that box somewhere. So I'm just going to create an area here called con points, which will be our conviction points, and that's where we'll put our link. So let's create our list box. So if I go to insert, and we're not using ActiveX controls, don't use those, we're using form controls. Now this one here is a drop down box, but this one is the list box. If you hover over it, it should say list box, and we'll draw the shape of it here, and now we can edit it. So right hand click, format control. First thing to do is select our input range. So our input range is going to be here, which is our points. Now at the moment it's put in the full thing, so I'm just going to write points. And we need to link the result of it, because what will happen, well let's show you first of all without it done. That's working, okay. I can resize this if I want to, and I can select them, but it doesn't actually do anything. What we want it to do is that when we select it, it will put something just here. So I'm going to name this cell con points, and we'll go back and format our list box, and we'll create the link here, con points. What that will do now is, as I change the values here, so if I go from 1 to 3, con points becomes 2, because it's the second option in the list. If I select 0, it becomes 1, because it's the first option in the list. And if I select 4 to 6, then it becomes 3, because it's the third option in the list. So that was the conviction points. Now we're going to have a look at the number of drivers that will be chosen from option buttons with options of 0, 1 or 2. So again, we're going to insert a form control, and here are our option buttons. So I'm just going to draw my first option button, and we'll put that in, and I'm going to change that to be 0, and then I can create another one. So I'll create another option button, or I could just copy and paste them actually, and that will be 1. So we'll just delete the bit that says option button. Yeah, let's just copy that one. So there we go, and in fact it's not 0, 1, oh it is, it's number of additional drivers, so it's 0, 1 or. So we'll change this one here to 2. It's important to remember that, but it's not actually the total number of drivers, it's actually the number of additional drivers that we're having on here. So that set is 0, 1, 2, but again it's not storing that data anywhere. So what we're going to do is just create a space over here under COM points, and I'll call this additional drivers. I think I'll just name this here drivers, and then we can link that to the cell. So format the control, because we've only got one set of option buttons, then just making one change to any one of them does it to all of them. If we had more than one set of option buttons, which doesn't apply to this task, you'd need to put them into group boxes, but we'll link this to drivers. Now what should happen is when I select 1, the drivers should be 2. And the reason it's 2 is because it's the second option in the list. Okay, so 0 will be 1 because it's the first option in the list. So that completes this part of the task. What you need to do now is do the annotation. So have a look at the similar but different answers, have a look at the instructions, and do the annotation based on to show the evidence of what you've done. Remember, it's the annotation that really gets you the marks.